Okay, so here are the first 3 questions that we're going to go over today. Go ahead and copy them down first, okay? Ready? Go. I'm going to try and record with my microphone on because I've been noticing that the sound has been too quiet. So we'll see if this makes any change. Okay, so now let's take a look at our 3 questions. I know you had enough time to copy everything. The first question is that solve 6x squared plus 2x minus 1, right? So let's start with that. The first question was solve, and then 6x squared plus 2x, and then it's actually minus 1, and for some reason I put plus 1 when I was doing my lesson. So we'll just use it that way. Uh-oh, that was not your bell, you know that. We just started our lesson like right now. Okay, so the first thing that we have to do is we have to identify our A, B, and C. So here's A, here's B, and here's C. And then I have to write it down. A is 6, B is 2, and C is 1. Okay, I'm going to pause my video for a little bit. Am I recording? Okay, I just wanted to go back and change the question. So there you go. Once we have that, we got to sing our song. And I was really happy because you actually sang with me. Ready? Let's try this again. Go. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. I know my writing is always a little bit slower than my singing. But anyhow, so all I'm doing right now is I'm just going to copy down the equation, right? So I see the x, so I'm going to copy the x. I see the equal sign, so I'm going to copy the equal sign. I see the negative, so I'm going to copy the negative. I see the b, but b is 2, so I'm going to put 2, but in parentheses. I see the plus or minus, I copy the plus or minus. I see the the square root, I copy the square root. I see the b again, so I put 2 inside the parentheses, and then I see the squared, so I square it. I see the minus, I see the 4, I see the a, so I put 6 in parentheses. Now I see the c, so I put 1 in parentheses. Okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this all over, and then 2 times a, and a is 6. And I put that in parentheses, okay? I'm going to have to pause this for a little bit. Okay, so Miss Choi has visitors once in a while, and that's what just happened. Anyhow, so let's keep going. So usually from here, what I recommend to my students, to you, is that I want you to work on this part first, and then that part. And then I want you to work inside the square root last, because that's just easiest, right? So let's go to the next page because I don't have space right now. Okay, so let's go back. I'm going to copy x equals nothing special. And then I'm going to look at this. This is a negative and then a positive 2. So that just gives me a negative 2. So I'm going to put that. And then if I go back, I see plus and minus and then the square root, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and copy that. Uh-oh, wrong page. Okay, plus or minus the square root. And then inside the square root, I'm going to leave it. And then I draw the line. And then if I go back, right, I see 2 times 6, which is 12. So I'm just going to put that. So inside the square root, what am I supposed to do? Oh, okay. Just follow PEMDAS, okay? Inside the parentheses, there's nothing going on. So 2 times 2 is 4. 4, and then let me just write that first. 4. And then over here, negative 4 times 6 is negative 24. Because, you know, multiply by 1 just is the number itself. So it's negative 24. All right, so now everything else is going to be the same. So I copy it again. Okay, all over 12. But inside the square root, now what do we have? 4 minus 24 is negative 20. So I write that down, okay? So then, let's see if you remember this from yesterday's lesson, right? Because we did just this part, and you did it on the boards, didn't you? Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and do the factor tree. So negative 20 is the same as negative 1 times 20. 20 is the same as 4 times 5, and 4 is the same as 2 times 2. Now just remember to circle all your prime numbers, okay? And you gotta remember, this was yesterday, negative 1 times 2 times 2 times 5. All the numbers that you circle, if you multiply them together, you should be able to get negative 20. Okay, so then what does that really mean? Okay, I'm copying again. Inside the square root, I have negative 1 times 2 times 2 times 5. And this is all over 12. And we talked about perfect squares yesterday, didn't we? Okay, so 2 times 2, that's the square root of 4, which is a 2. So that, the perfect square, gets to get out of the Sleeping Beauty's castle, right? What about the square root of negative 1? We talked about this yesterday as well. That's the letter I. So then everything's going to escape the radical present or the Sleeping Beauty's castle. And who is still stuck in there? The 5, okay? So let's try and finish this off, and I have to go to the next page, okay? So what I'm doing is I'm just going to copy all of this. X equals negative 2 plus or minus, and then all over 12. And then I'm going to try and simplify the stuff in there, okay? Let's do this. So let me change colors. X equals negative 2 plus or minus, and then let's do this a little bit later, all over 12. So go back, and who came out? The 2 and the I. So I'm going to put the 2 and the I outside. But who is still stuck inside the Sleeping Beauty's castle? Oh, that's the 5. So 5 stays in there. From here, okay, I told you to do the heart, okay? So let's take a look at the left side of Miss Choi's heart first. That's negative 2 over 12. You see what I did? That's negative 2 over 12. And now I'm going to put plus or minus, and then I'm going to copy down the right side of the heart, right? And that is 2i square root of 5 over 12. All right? So now let's simplify. Negative 2 and 12 can both be divided by 2. So x is negative 1 over 6. And then over here, what did I say? Inside the square root, please don't touch it, okay? You cannot simplify that with numbers that are outside the castle. People inside the castle, just stay inside, okay? Only the people outside can be simplified, okay? So 2 and 12 can both be divided by, yes, 2. So you're going to have I, oh no, what happened? You're going to have I square root of 5 over 6, and that will be your answer, okay? So now what I'm going to do is give you a practice question, okay? And when I play my song, you're going to start solving it. And when I'm done playing my song, then you're going to move on to the next question with me, okay? So there you go. I want you to practice this question right here. I want you to solve 5x squared plus 4x plus 1 equals 0. There you go. Ready? Go. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to look at the second question right here. It says, which is a factor of x squared plus 2x minus 15? And what I want you to do right now is just copy this question down. Ready? Go. So now let's try and solve this together. It says, which is a factor of x squared plus 2x minus 15. Now don't forget the English, okay? It says, which is a factor of. Okay, and then it gives you that question. So whenever you see the word factor, what you gotta do is start off with the big X. And we did this so many times and most of you are already really good at this, okay? What number goes on top? Ready, go. I wonder how many people answered. 1 times negative 15 is negative 15, so negative 15 goes on top. And then the number that goes at the bottom is a 2. Now what we want to do is try and come up with two numbers that when you multiply together, we'll get negative 15, but when you add them together, you'll get 2. Okay, so let's think about this. This is the one where you had to do the factor tree, but this is a little bit different from prime factorization, right? I told you to start with 1 times 15, and then instead of branching out some more, I told you no, you just keep 2 branches, only 2 branches, but you start with 1 and you keep going. 2 times nothing is going to be 15, so 3 times 5 is 15, 4, 5, 6, nope, and then it doesn't work because now we have to go back to 5 times 3, right? So which two numbers can we come up with? 2. When we add them, it has to be 2. 5 and 3, if we subtract it, we can make 2. And when we multiply the two numbers, we're supposed to get negative 15 anyway, right? So then one of them has to be negative, but when we look at the addition fact, it's a positive number. So that means you have to follow the symbol for the bigger number. So the bigger number, 5, has to be positive, and 3 has to be negative. Right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put negative 3 over here, and then I'm going to put 5 over here. What we need next is our fraction bar. There you go. And then I'm going to go ahead and put my leading coefficient. If you see nothing next to the x squared, that's a 1. So I put 1 on top. And then what do I put at the bottom? Yes, I'm going to put my negative 3 and my 5. Those are my two answers, right? Okay, so then what letters am I playing with? Yeah, the letter X. So I'm almost done. My factored form would be, I put the X on top. So it's going to be X minus 3 and then X plus 5. And so we are done. And yesterday we talked about how if you see the word factor, you should expect your answer to be in parentheses. Now on the final though, it's a little bit different because it's a multiple choice test. And it's asking you which is a factor, okay? And so your multiple choice options look like this. It would ask you A. Maybe I should use a different color so you know that it's not the same thing, right? So it's gonna say something like A. Is your answer going to be x plus 1? B. Is your answer going to be x plus 5? C. Is your answer going to be x minus 3? D. Is your answer going to be x plus 4? Okay, so then you have to select the correct answer. So what do you think the correct answer is? Yes, you are absolutely right. Your answer is x plus 5, which is B, and also C, x minus 3. Now keep in mind that these multiple choice test questions can actually have more than one correct answer. Okay, so that is a very important thing you have to remember. Now most of you already know how to do this one, so I'm not really worried. Right now, I'm going to go ahead and give you a practice question, okay? So during the music, you can go ahead and solve it. Okay, ready, go. So now I want to take you back to the third question, which is, what is the perimeter of the figure shown below, which is not drawn to scale? I don't want to have to write it on my colored screen, so go ahead and copy the question right now, okay? What is the perimeter of the figure shown below, which is not drawn to scale, right? And so here's a picture of a rectangle, and this side obviously is x plus 16, and that side is 3x, and it's asking for the perimeter. Okay, so then the first thing I'm going to ask you is, okay, what do you think the word perimeter means, right? Because that's the most important thing. So let me take you to a new page. In order for you to solve that problem, you had to first understand what perimeter means, okay? And yes, that means the distance around. Okay? And so if you have a rectangle, that means you gotta find the distance around. So you gotta find out how long this is, how long that is, how long this is, and how long this is. And then you gotta add everything together, right? Okay, so in our question, we saw that this side is x plus 16 and this side is 3x. Okay? So this is x plus 16 and this side is 3x. So then obviously if this is 3x, how long do you think this side is if this is a rectangle? Yeah, it's 3x because by definition, rectangles means opposite sides have the same length, right? And if this side over here is x plus 16, how long do you think is going to be down here? Yes, you're absolutely right. It's going to be x plus 16. So now we're going to add everything, okay? So look, x plus 16, that's this one right here. This one right here. Plus 3x. Oh, and where did that come from? Over here. Okay. Plus x plus 16. And that came from here. And finally, I gotta do that, right? Plus 3x. And that would be this one. So now I added all four sides. Okay? So now I gotta do the actual calculations. Remember the Garcia family? Okay, so let's group them by letter. Okay. So then x, 3x, x, 3x. We're going to put those together and then everything else, they're going to be grouped separately. The 16 and the 16. Okay, so let's go. X plus 3x plus x. All I have to do is put the x and then I go 1 plus 3. That's 4. 4 plus 1 is 5. And 5 plus 3 is 8. Hey, that's 8x, okay? And so now I gotta add the yellow stuff together, which is 16 plus 16. And that's going to be 32. So then, of course, this is a multiple choice question, and so you would have 8x plus 32 as one of the options, okay? And for this question, you can only have one answer, which is really great, right? So now it's time for me to give you a practice question that you can solve while the music is playing, okay? Okay, so that's it for today. I hope you have a great day, and I hope that everybody will pass the final. Happy math! Happy mathing. Oh well, okay.